Commission, Babatunde Irukera, made the disclosure in Lagos on Thursday during a collaborative engagement with the media to review and analyze the state of the market. He said some of the online apps were legitimate while others were operating illegally to tracking debtors, and that they are against illegitimate works. The FCCPC boss urged companies to be responsible and responsive to customer care services. According to him, the government is more accessible and easier to find than private individuals because individuals want to make a profit. He said the media is a critical infrastructure in the constitution obligation of the government to protect the consumer's interests. Irupera also said that one of the challenges in the telecommunications sector is transparency in billing. Meanwhile, telecommunication providers under the aegis of the Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operators of Nigeria have said the rising cost of diesel has impacted negatively on their operational costs and that they are set to approach the federal government for special interventions. The president of Alton, Gbenga Adebayo, disclosed this during a press conference on Thursday. According to him, network planning, operational expense, and projection plans for telcos are based on diesel prices. He added that the industry was worried about how the rising cost of diesel would further drive the high cost of business. He stated that there was a need for an intervention to save the sector, or operators might have to get other choices, but to begin a process of price review. Adebayo added that telcos are also struggling with availability of diesel and the logistic of delivering it to sites. He concluded that they will be approaching the government for some form of intervention, but they are mindful of the high cost of living and the implication of this on the economy and citizens. And so they are going to talk about direct price increases. However, he stated that if network providers are unable to get any form of intervention from the government, they would approach the regulator to push for realistic pricing, which would reflect the dynamics and reality of the business climate. Meanwhile, Adebayo added that the association and its members could no longer tolerate the actions against telecommunication service delivery by some states, such as Kogi and the Federal Capital Territory in the nation. According to him, Alton and its members are giving a 7-day ultimatum for a return to status quo or proceed to force the government to act. Nigeria's external reserves fell by $313 million in March, according to figures obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria on Thursday. The CBN's figures showed that the foreign exchange reserves, which commenced March 1, 2022 at $39.86 billion, fell to $39.55 billion as of March 30, 2022. Following the invasion of Ukraine by Russian forces, crude oil prices have continued to fluctuate as the global energy sector continues to experience disruptions. Brent, the crude against which Nigeria's oil is priced, which had jumped above $100 per barrel in the past few weeks, hit $120 as of Thursday. The CBN had expressed worries over the effects of the massive oil theft on the oil sector and the external reserves. Also, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited said that the country had lamented that the nation was not meeting its OPEC crude oil production quota lately. The governor, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, had at the last Monetary Policy Committee meeting expressed concern over oil production and external reserves. He said the NPC noted with concern the decrease in the level of external reserves. Emefiele, however, said the CBN, in collaboration with the Bankers Committee, was working to boost non-oil exports through the raise to a $2 billion. The World Bank says it has allocated $100 million for women empowerment programs in 6 states in Nigeria. A social development specialist with the World Bank, Michael Ilesomi, disclosed this on Thursday during Nigeria for Women project in Abeokuta, Ogun State capital. Ilesomi, who is also the task leader of NFW project, listed the states as Ogun, Abia, Akwa Ibom, Kebbi, Taraba, and Niger. According to him, the project is a Nigerian government program designed to empower women to become economically independent. The World Bank supports the program, and Ilesomi said the Nigeria for Women project is a program for the government of Nigeria with support from the World Bank. And in his speech, the country director, World Bank, Subham Chowdhury, said the project was targeted at improving the infrastructure and economic development of Nigeria. We'll take a short break and return in a moment. Stay with us. You're welcome back. It's still Business Roundup on Atlantic Television Network. About 174 million people in Nigeria lack access to use of liquefied petroleum gas, popularly called cooking gas, the federal government stated on Thursday. It said this was because of the high level of energy poverty in Nigeria, stressing that the promoters of global energy transition must adequately consider factors such as the energy security and economic development. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, disclosed this in Abuja at the 2022 Oloibiri Lecture Series and Energy Forum with the theme Global Energy Transition, Implications and on Future Investment in the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry. Going by the minister's statement, 13% translates to 26 million, hence about 140 or 74 million people across the country lack access to LPG. Silva, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary, Federal Minister of Petroleum Resources, Gani Gwazo, stated that Nigeria's goal should be energy sufficiency in order to ensure energy security and end the ravaging energy poverty across the country. He argued that it was misleading to equate energy transition to getting rid of fossil fuels. Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary, Petroleum Technology Development Fund, Bello Gasau, in his address at the forum, noted that a recent publication by the Energy Information Administration projected nearly 50% increase in world's energy use by 2050, led by growth in renewable energy. He said the publication stated that though it was envisaged that petroleum and other liquid fuels would surely remain the world's largest energy source in 2050, renewable energy sources, which include wind and solar, would grow to nearly the same level. The Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund is going to compete for critical infrastructure projects worth 2.3 trillion naira in the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority stated on Thursday. The presentation by the NSIA at the 7th edition of Africa Road Builders event in Abuja indicated that part of the fund was being deployed for the construction of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Abuja-Kaduna-Zaria-Kano Road, Second Niger Bridge, and Mambila Hydropower Project. This came as the NSIA delivered 16 security vehicles to the Nigeria Police Force to help boost economic activities on the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano Road, following the directives of President Muhammadu Buhari. The NSIA's report at the Road Builders event stated that the expected impact of the ongoing projects under the PIDF includes job creation and facilitation of poverty alleviation, among others. The NSIA manages the PIDF, and it stated that the PIDF was established in 2018 to accelerate the execution of critical infrastructure projects, which include the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Second Niger Bridge, and Abuja-Kaduna-Zaria-Kano Road, jointly referred to as the ongoing projects. For the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the report stated that Julius Berger Nigeria PLC and Reynolds Construction Company RCC were the contractors, putting the project cost at 311.4 billion naira. While stating that 99.6 billion naira had been disbursed, it put the estimated completion date for the project at July 2022, adding that the percentage completion for sections 1 and 2 were 87 and 73% respectively. The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is located in Nigeria's southwest region. For the Second Niger Bridge, the NSIA named Julius Berger Nigeria PLC as the contractor. It said the initial cost of the project was 206.2 billion naira, while there was an additional cost of 88.1 billion. The project is projected to be completed in 2022, as 165.3 billion naira had been disbursed, with a percentage completion of 84%. The Second Niger Bridge is in the southeast. The Abuja-Kaduna-Kano Expressway is also being handled by Julius Berger. It had an initial project cost of 155.7 billion naira, while the revised project cost was put at 655.2 billion naira. The initial estimated completion date was 2021, while the revised estimated completion date was put at 2025. The NSIA said the amount so far disbursed was 307.1 billion naira. The project is ongoing in the north. The Mambila hydropower project, however, has a cost of 1.765 trillion naira. It is a greenfield project located in the northeast region of Nigeria. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, on Thursday raised Nigeria's oil production quota from the 1.735 million barrels per day target approved in April 2022 to a new target of 1.753 million barrels per day for May 2022. OPEC's increased oil production quota for Nigeria came as the federal government called for an inclusive energy transition that would be beneficial to not just Nigeria but other countries in Africa. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, made the call at the Domestic Gas Summit 2022 organized by the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry with the theme, Building a Sustainable Gas Economy. OPEC raised Nigeria's oil production quota at its 27th OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting, according to a statement from the organization. Nigeria, however, has been missing its OPEC-approved oil production targets. In his speech at the summit in Abuja, Osinbajo noted that Nigeria's oil and gas resources were enormous, and as such, global energy transition must be inclusive. Osinbajo said development of oil and gas resources is critical for economic growth and revenue expansion for many countries, including Nigeria. The priority, according to him, is to transit from liquid fossil fuels to liquefied natural gas, compressed natural gas, and liquefied petroleum gas. He added that curbing natural gas investment in Nigeria would do little to limit carbon emissions globally, but will do much to hurt the continent's prospects. Right now, Africa is starved of energy. On his part, the president ACCI Al-Mujtaba Abubakar stated that gas had been identified as the energy of choice across board because it was cleaner, greener, and safer. In the meantime, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has said Nigeria produced over 35 million bags of blended fertilizer bags in the last 5 years. He added that there had been a significant increase in the nation's fertilizer blending capacity as active fertilizer blending plants grew from 7 in 2015 to 48 in 2022. Emefiele disclosed this in a chat with journalists in Lagos, and according to the governor of the central bank, the nation's agricultural sector has increased its performance and contribution to gross domestic product. He stated that the nation was now self-sufficient in the production of urea and has become the leading producer on the continent. He said improving access to fertilizers in the nation will help the nation improve food security and boost the local food supply. We'll take another break and return in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the program is Business Roundup on Atlantic Television Network. The Nigeria Export Promotion Council has said the nation's trade facilitation procedures are outdated. It added that the nation had not been a party to any single window recommendation since 2003. The regional coordinator, Southwest NEPC Lagos, Mr. Samuel Oyeikpo, said this during a sensitization workshop to encourage private sector participation with national trade facilitation bodies. Oyeikpo, who was represented at the event by the director in the office of the Chief Executive Officer, NEPC, Ms. Estelle Igwe, said since the introduction of the single window in 2003, Nigeria had yet to have a national single window. He stated that Nigeria trade facilitation procedures went moribund, and because the nation is not party to any single window recommendations that were being developed, it is why the nation does not have a national single window. He added that the absence of a national single window was affecting the nation's ability to maximize its export potential. Meanwhile, the federal government on Thursday in Abuja said it could no longer compete with the Ajaokuta or complete the Ajaokuta steel rolling mill in 2022 due to COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war. The Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Olamilekan Adegbite, disclosed this when he spoke at a special weekly ministerial media briefing organized by the Presidential Communications Team at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He, however, noted that the federal government would initiate irreversible processes to ensure the resumption and eventual completion of the steel facility beyond the Buhari regime. The minister revealed that the President Muhammadu Buhari, after negotiations with Russia before the pandemic, approved the disbursement of $2 million for the conduct of a technical audit of the mill as demanded by the Soviet Union, the Soviet nation, before the restart of its implementation. Adegbite further explained that the federal government moved to continue the earlier negotiations with Russia, but progress was again stalled due to the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Fielding questions from State House correspondents, he said, Ajaokuta, by the grace of God, will start an irreversible process. The problem, however, with Ajaokuta is actually what is called major. Nobody thought of the COVID because the plan was to deliver Ajaokuta this year. The Nigerian Communications Commission, through its Computer Security Incidents Response Team for the telecom sector, has identified 2 new cyber threats targeting Windows platforms and some routers separately. This was contained in a statement issued by the NCC on Thursday titled NCC Uncovers Cyber Threats to Windows Platforms Routers. Ransomware called Loki was discovered to attack Windows platforms, leading to data loss and denial of service. Loki is a relatively new ransomware that has been discovered by security researchers and belongs to ransomware family. Loki operates by encrypting user files and rendering the compromised system useless if the victim does not pay the demanded ransom in time. The Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Clem Agba, says the federal government has begun fresh moves to mobilize more revenue in order to fund the nation's expenditure. It disclosed this during a keynote address at the Federal Inland Revenue Service 2022 Management Retreat, which was held in Lagos. According to him, the task of improving the nation's tax revenues is important if the nation must meet its expenditure target. According to the minister, a shift in the global economy has led to a new approach to revenue mobilization as nations shift from their dependence on resource wealth. He added that to address this, the federal government was focusing on a strategic revenue growth initiative and the Annual Finance Act to mobilize domestic funds necessary for human capital and infrastructure development to drive sustainable economic growth and development. The Association of Table Water Producers has asked the federal, state, and local governments to come up with a legal framework to help fight charlatans in the industry. The group said this would enable the industry carry out its role as contained in the laws guiding the activities of its operators. In a statement, the ATWAP president, Mrs. Clementina Ativier, explained that no government agency could successfully wage war against fake water producers in the industry except the association. According to her, members of the association are duly registered with the National Agency for Food, Drug and Administration and Control, adding that members in each state of the federation can identify the location of water producers. The ATWA boss noted that in the past 2 decades, the association had championed healthy water consumption in the country. It also pleaded for government intervention in the area of subsidy to cushion the effects of the rising cost of production. Pension fund administrators, PFAs, investment into federal government securities increased by 6.3% to 25.6 trillion naira in the fourth quarter of 2021 from 24.1 trillion naira in the corresponding period of 2020. This comes at the backdrop of increased yield in fixed income securities, an asset class that includes federal government securities such as FGN bond, Treasury Bill, Agency Bond, Sukuk Bond, and Green Bond. Findings from the latest data of the National Pensions Commission, PENCOM, shows that federal government bonds attracted the highest pension fund investment at 24.7 trillion naira, thus accounting for the 96.5% of the total value of the federal government securities during the period. Trailing behind the FGN bond is Treasury Bill, posting 810.9 billion naira, thus accounting for 3.2% of the total value of pension fund assets of the federal government securities, followed by Sukuk Bond, recording 321.6 billion naira. This accounted for 1.3% of the value of total federal government securities. Green Bond took the fourth position, recording 201.5 billion naira, as it accounted for 0.8% of the value of federal government securities, while Agency Bond recorded 41.7 billion naira in the quarter under review. Commenting on the investment behavior of the PFAs, analyst and head of research and investment at Fidelity Securities Limited, Victor Chiazo, said over the years, PFA investments have always been highly skewed towards federal government of Nigeria securities, given the low-risk nature of the instrument, and that they have, however, seen a significant rise in yield environment in the period under review. Also commenting, Vice Executive Chairman, High Cap Securities Limited, Mr. David Aduni, said in the period under review, yield on fixed income securities and bank fixed deposits rose. As a result, investors were encouraged to invest in debt instruments such as government securities. The Standard Organization of Nigeria, SON, has emerged as the foremost government agency in promotion of transparency and efficiency in the business of environment, or in the business environment. A statement from SON said that the achievement was brought to the fore in the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEPEG, 2020-2021 Business Made Easy report and the 2021 Executive Order 1 Compliance report published recently. Special Advisor to the President on Ease of Doing Business and Secretary, PEBEG, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, said that the published report is in line with the Council's commitment to continuously measure compliance to the Executive Order EO1 on the promotion of transparency and efficiency in the business environment and to periodically capture the footprint of the federal government's reform agenda. Director General SON, Malam Farouk Salim, stated that the agency is committed to the promotion of domestic and foreign investment, creation of employment opportunities, and continuous stimulation of the natural economy through the diligent implementation of standardization and quality assurance program in line with the federal government's ease of doing business policy. He emphasized that SON has intensified efforts to remove product quality limitation and technical barriers to trade while improving the competitiveness and market acceptability of made in Nigeria products locally and internationally. We'll take a final break now and return in just a moment. Stay with us. Glad to know that you're still there and watching Business Roundup on Atlantic Television Network. In line with its moves to attain 94% financial inclusion by 2024, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and the World Bank on the World Savings and Retail Banking Institute, WSBI, have outlined financial inclusion measures the formal financial sector operators should take to provide convenient products for the informal sector. This is coming even as the WSBI disclosed its plan to include 1 million low-income Nigerians into the formal financial system by August 2022. Speaking at the WSBI's Scale to Save event, which was supported by the Nigerian Microfinance Platform, a MasterCard Foundation in Lagos yesterday, the head Financial Inclusion Secretariat at CBN, Paul Oluipe, said savings in any economic configuration is basically a key driver of growth and is a key function of the Apex Bank's economic policy for national productivity. Oluipe noted that the CBN is focused on bringing everyone in the inclusive net and ensuring that it captures data from the monetary policy and plan for the economy, but added that the formal segment of the financial service sector cannot alone fill the gaps found in the inclusive net. Citing a 2019 report, Oluipe explained that the challenges of bringing women on board in the formal financial sector include lack of trust, education, and income to interact with formal financial services. On her part, the program director Scale to Save at WSBI, Weslina Angelo, called for a joint effort from stakeholders to seek ways of connecting the formal financial services to the informal sector. According to her, 1.7 billion people globally remain excluded from formal financial services, and the WSBI strives to change it. Scale to Save is WSBI's current program on financial inclusion aimed at empowering low-income people working in Ivory Coast, Kenya, Nigeria, Morocco, Uganda, and Senegal. Chairman, United Bank of Africa, UBA PLC, Tony Elumelu, has advocated for more entrepreneurs and investments across the world to fast-track the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Elumelu made this appeal at the first-ever Time 100 Impact Award at the Museum of the Future in Dubai, where he was among the 7 honorees of the award recognized for using their influence to build a better future. Elumelu was honored for spending his career advocating for economic empowerment in the less fortunate places in the world. Among other things, the Tony Elumelu Foundation has given $5,000 each to 15,000 young entrepreneurs from 54 African countries as part of his efforts to grow the entrepreneurial spirit in Africa and encourage economic development. Speaking further, Elumelu paid tribute to the hardworking young men and women in Africa who aspire to help their families and their communities. He shared his story of rising from a modest beginning to launching the Tony Elumelu Foundation in 2010, which is aimed at creating significant opportunities and economic hope for others, while helping to redefine how all of the people on earth need to work together to uplift through the message of entrepreneurship. As chairman of UBA PLC, Elumelu's vision for securing long-term investment from the private sector to drive economic development in Africa has helped create new job opportunities and turn the continent into a hub for innovation. Stressing the need for more investment and opportunities in Africa more than ever, Elumelu said in the 21st century, there's much poverty, sickness, and bitterness in the world, and that the calling of people like him should be one that has to prioritize humanity above others. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has barred credit guarantee companies, CGCs, from accepting deposits, among other things. The Apex Bank disclosed this yesterday in its guidelines for regulation and supervision of CGCs in Nigeria. According to CBN, its effort to stimulate lending in micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, facilitated the development of guidelines for the establishment and operation of CGCs in Nigeria. The guidelines stated that on permissible activities, a CGC shall not carry out the following: provision of guarantee to entities outside Nigeria, provision of guarantee to entities within its holding company structure, and to connect entities, guarantee loans of any institution it is indebted to, acceptance of demand, savings and time deposits or any other deposits, provision of credit to customers and management of pension funds or schemes. The CBN noted that the objective of the credit guarantee scheme include improving access to credit for MSMEs, reduce credit risk in lending by providing guarantees to participating financial institutions, stimulate lower interest rates on loans, promote flexible collateral requirements by PFIs. Others are to encourage new business formations, development and expansion, accelerate economic growth and decrease unemployment, foster sustainable and inclusive growth, and improve risk management in the financial system. And finally, there are indications that foreign investors are sidelining Nigeria's gas sector as other African countries attracted higher investment in the past 10 years. The Minister of State for Petroleum, Timipre Silva, told a section of EU ambassadors to Nigeria that out of over $70 billion worth of investment that entered Africa between 2012 and 2022, only $3.5 billion or 5% came into Nigeria, despite accounting for 33% gas reserve in the continent. A breakdown of the investment showed that Tanzania received major chunk in gas investment of $30 billion, with the country's LNG project located at Lindi, while Rovuma Basin, offshore Mozambique, gas development project received $4.7 billion. Ethiopia Djibouti gas pipeline located at Ogaden Basin, East Ethiopia. Damerjog Djibouti, which started in 2020, received $4 billion. However, the pestering war between Ukraine and Russia, which has threatened gas supply to European countries, may have necessitated a call by Silva to the foreign investors to look to Nigeria with more investment, insisting that Nigeria was ready to step in as an alternative gas supplier to Europe. Commenting, the Chief Executive Officer, Oil Data Energy Group, Emeka Ene, said that property rights, enabling environment, and opportunity cost are the three factors that trigger and attract investment in any country or sector. Also, a sector governance expert, Michael Ozoigwe, in a chat with correspondents, noted that although the Petroleum Industry Act PIA has been signed, the implementation has not started. However, the ambassadors, led by Samuela Isopi, urged the Nigerian government to take advantage of the opportunity offered by the present crisis in Europe to shore up gas supplies to Europe. And that's how we wrap it up on Business Roundup for today. Join us tomorrow for another edition, or follow Atlantic Television Network on all social media platforms. My name is Nyam Gul Agaji. Thanks for being there.